The homily at today's Liturgy of the Lord's Passion will be delivered by Father Bryan Parrish. Father Parrish serves as the Assistant Vicar for Administration and Special Assistant to the Vicar General, Bishop Uglieto. Father Bryan is a member of the class of 1988, a priest of the Archdiocese of Boston.
Thank you, Cardinal Sean, for this opportunity and really this privilege to preach on this Good Friday. It was just 2 years ago when I had the great privilege to go on pilgrimage to the Holy Land with Cardinal Sean and 28 of my brother priests here in the Archdiocese of Boston. And as Cardinal Sean reminded us at the Chrism Mass this past Tuesday, it is St. Jerome who tells us that the Holy Land is the fifth gospel, as of course many of you know so well. And so it was a deeply spiritual experience. And on the last day of this pilgrimage, we had the opportunity, the privilege to pray the Via Crucis, the way of the cross. It is an experience that I will never forget, not only because praying the way of the cross was deeply spiritual and had great meaning for me and, of course, for my brother priests, but also because I was almost knocked over by a wild resident of Jerusalem and his cart full of bread. I was in his way, and he was heading straight toward me. Fortunately, as I looked at the very last moment, I was able to jump out of the way unharmed, and he scurried off to his destination. It struck me how, as we were praying, the way of the cross, the very footsteps that our Lord walked, so many were disinterested, completely unaware and unconcerned. I was struck by their indifference. And yet, this indifference and even rejection is exactly what our Lord experienced on his way of the cross. We have just heard proclaimed, indeed sung so beautifully, St. John's account of the Lord's Passion. John presents the Passion of Jesus in a very different manner from the Synoptics. There is no crying out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" John presents the Passion of Jesus as that of a sovereign king who has overcome the world, someone supremely self-confident, a Jesus who reigns from the cross. There are two key moments in John's presentation of the Passion of our Lord. This climactic moment, first, when Jesus is presented to the crowd, Ecce homo, behold the man. But unlike the Synoptics, in which Jesus is stripped of his garments prior to walking this way of the cross, in John's Gospel, Jesus is clad with thorns and the purple cloak. He wears the mantle and the crown of a king. And so then, the rejection of the crowd was total and complete. They rejected Jesus. They rejected their king. And then secondly, in contrast to this rejection, a few moments later, as John tells us the story, Jesus, hanging on the cross, gazes down at the beloved disciple at his mother Mary, the other Marys, the first Christian community, if you will, and looking at the beloved disciple, Jesus says, "Behold your mother." He entrusts Mary, and indeed the church, to the beloved disciple. And so then we can imagine both Jesus on his Via Crucis, enduring the mockery of the crowds, the indifference of those going about their day, the rejection of those who had cried out. And then on the other hand, Mary, the faithful disciple, who not only gave birth to our Lord, who accompanied him throughout his life and public ministry, but who remains faithful until the end, the model disciple. Behold the man, rejection. Behold your mother, Mary, the faithful disciple. Our culture is indifferent to the person of Jesus Christ. Sometimes that indifference moves to outright rejection, attacks on our religious freedom, and the practice of our faith. But there is also an insidious indifference in this secular culture of ours, in which the practice of faith can be seen as an interruption or as a nuisance, in which faith is viewed as a commodity, and folks strive not to be disciples but consumers. And my friends, even in our own lives, we too can be lulled into the trap of indifference, in which we keep a safe and comfortable distance between ourselves and Jesus, yet all the while congratulating ourselves that we're in church. The Lord remains at an arm's length. Jesus carried his cross for you. He endured mockery and shame for you. He gave his life for you, so that you and I can truly live. Jesus Christ loves you unconditionally. He forgives you completely, and he walks by your side. In response to such boundless love, how can we remain indifferent? How can we remain unmoved? How could we ever keep the Lord at an arm's length? In Evangelii Gaudium, our beloved Pope Francis writes, Jesus Christ loves you. He gave his life to save you. And now he is living at your side every day to enlighten, strengthen, and save you. We cannot just hear these words. We must live them. We cannot simply gaze at Jesus on the cross. We must welcome him. We cannot walk with Jesus only on this day, but on every day of our lives. My friends, behold the man. Behold God's presence in the joys and struggles of your life, in the beauty of creation and the gift of human life. Behold Jesus in clarity and in mystery, in consolation and in suffering. Behold Jesus in the poor and all those in need. Behold Jesus in the Holy Eucharist and Blessed Sacrament. Do not be indifferent. Do not push him away. Open your hearts to Jesus, our crucified and risen King.
Father Bryan Parrish, Assistant Vicar for Administration and Special Assistant to the Vicar General, preaching an inspiring word to us today. Our society, and we too sometimes, are indifferent to the presence of Jesus among us in so many ways. And so we behold him today